It's 12:20 and my nerves can't take this anymore, so we're gonna get going. Kayla, you're supposed to be in the front row. I know, I did, I know, I totally called you out. Can you come to the front? Thank you, just Elliot. All right, now we can really get going. Okay, thank you for coming today. My name is Jamie Kotewa. I'm the art instructor here at Spoon, and this is my presentation called Let's Get Hammered. Thank you for showing up. All right, so when I was deciding what to go with this, what route to go with this topic, I really kept coming around to the notion of change, and every time I tried to go a different route, I'd kick that can and it would come right back and smack me, and so I kept thinking about change and all different aspects of it. What is change? How do we affect change or create change or influence it? How do we respond to change? Sometimes the change is happening to us and we need to respond to it. Change can happen at different speeds, right? It can be powerfully subtle, and it can also be forcefully jarring. So for the purposes of today, the hammer is going to represent how we influence change. We can use a hammer in expected and unexpected ways. They can have both positive and negative effects, right? We can direct that hammer to make little tiny taps and little cracks and maybe peel away at things that need something that needs remodeling. On the flip side, we might use a lot of force with that hammer to smash something, to smash an idea, to break a bias, to really put forth an impactful concept. Or maybe we're doing something with hope, right? And we are using that hammer almost like a golf club, and you're trying to send hope out past the sand trap. You want to get way out there, right? Sometimes you might find that you yourself are on the receiving end of that hammer. So then it may be nudging you to make an alteration to your schedule or to your priorities. That hammer might also apply a strong enough blow to completely change the direction that you were headed. So how do you respond to that hammer? How do you respond to that change? A concept I want to start with is malleability. So malleability is how we talk about the ability of metal to change when it is actually hammered. Like you actually literally hammer metal in order to change it, right? And what's happening there is that the layers of atoms within a softer metal are able to slide over one another and adjust with every blow of the hammer. So I want to start with that concept, that ability to make adjustments. Gold is one of the softest metals, and that is why we see it used quite frequently in very intricate designs for jewelry. It's not overly heavy. It can be hammered very, very thin, and you can really make intricate things there because of its malleability, right? So because of its ability to adjust and change when that hammer is hitting it, there's a beautiful outcome that's able to happen there. So if we apply that to us individually, we might be the ones that need to make adjustments. Or maybe that issue at hand, the problem to solve, is the one that is malleable. We might be thinking that there's nothing we can do about it, that it is as hard as steel and not able to be affected in any way by us. But perhaps what we need to do is change the way we look at it. So we always need to consider perspective. I felt like I needed to follow in the footsteps of all those brave souls who've done this before me, and so here's a definition slide. Okay, so if you look up in Merriam-Webster, this is what you're going to find, minus the little cartoon, on the definition of perspective. So what viewpoint are we approaching this issue with? How does it compare to where others are coming from? And I love the illustration there. One guy's seeing the boat coming from his island, and he's like, "Yeah, a boat!" And then there's this other guy in a boat, presumably been floating in the ocean forever. And he's like, "Yeah, land!" And they're both can't wait for the other one to get there, right? So that perspective, that point of view, POV, as you youngsters call it, is important. It's important to consider. I did have to have my 9th grader fill me in on POV. I was like, what is this? Like, what is this new acronym that's showing up everywhere? He's like, well, point of view. Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so from his point of view, I was old and stuck in the mud. So is it possible that whatever you are facing, whatever world issue you are facing, so whether the issue is global or personal and individual, have we been looking at it with our feet stuck in the cement, unable to consider other possibilities, right? What are the different perspectives available to us? And artists have this fantastic ability to sometimes confront us with these stuck points of view. And one artist that I want to bring up today and introduce you to is Pedro Reyes. He's an artist that works out of Mexico City, and he does a lot of like group initiated type artworks, right? So they're involving people. He doesn't just make a sculpture and then have it out for you to all admire. There's definitely a participation element in everything that he does. So to give you an idea of what he does or what he has done, let's start with grasshopper burgers. So thinking about ways to feed large amounts of people. He worked with some entomologists, and I think that's the right term for the people that really like insects. And they tested out some recipes for grasshopper burgers. I know, I see what's going on with your face, okay? So it's all right. Okay, so not only did he do that, but then he built a stand, kind of like a hot dog stand, right? A little cart, but it's a grasshopper. And then as he bicycles, the things make sound, and so you can like hear him coming down the road just like an ice cream truck, except he's got grasshopper burgers. And then he would give them out, right? Give it a try. So you have to, there's some interaction there. And he would collect decommissioned guns from the government in Mexico City, and they would work together as groups. He would get young high school students to come on board, and they would take them apart, use all the parts, recreate them into musical instruments. And so now he exhibits these groups of musical instruments that create music when they're all together, and they're computer operated, and it's totally this technological musical show out of what used to be guns. So something that used to be used for very different purposes now recreated and has them thinking about what are new possibilities, right? And then the third one is the pun, the People's United Nations. So with this one, if you know what the United Nations are, every country gets represented, right? You have a representative, and they all come together and they work together on big important things. Okay, that's what you need to know. The People's United Nations, small p, they have, he gets people to come. It's a role play exercise, and so you represent where you're from, right? So people are coming still from all over the world to be a part of this role play activity. And you get together in small groups and you talk about a problem that is persistent within your region, right? And So one of the representatives, I believe he was from Uruguay. And then they share with everybody kind of what the problem is, but also what some of the group members have offered as solutions. Here's the caveat. Nothing is off the table, and it probably should involve humor. Okay? So that's like his rule for these solutions. The idea that if they can approach these problems from an outside of the box, a different type of perspective, then that can actually open up new possibilities, right? So our gentleman from Uruguay stands up and says, well, in Uruguay we have problems with drive-by shootings, and so my group members have offered up the solution of mandatory U-turn bullets in all drive-by shootings. Probably improbable, however, pretty clever, right? So, we are going to test this out. Because another thing I was thinking, it's dangerous, but I start thinking, is we have a system for these college theme presentations, right? We get up, you come, you get your extra credit, we talk for 17 minutes, a few questions, and you leave. Well, we're not going to do that today. So we're going to do an activity, and it's a 2 by 2 by 2, okay? So here's the deal. I'm going to divide you into 2 groups. You are going to be given a really serious world problem, maybe more individual, but really serious problem, and you have to come up with the most improbable, ridiculous solutions to this problem in 2 minutes, okay? You have to work together. You're just going to have to be really good mental memory people because nobody's taking notes, so it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to divide you into 2, and I'm going to give you a problem, and you're going to have to solve it, all right? On this piece of paper, it tells you what the problem is. It doesn't tell you the solution. So and then I'm going to ask for you to offer up your brilliant solutions to these problems, okay? Because we're really heavy on the left side, we're actually going to do like a front-back kind of thing. So that means if you're in the back 3 rows, here, okay, you got to get together, here's your problem. And then if you're here, you got to get together, here's your problem. All right, you have 2 minutes. Let's go. Hard taco shell. The problem. Hard taco shell. I know it's try to use them. Or just keep that paper on the ground. No, you can pick it up. I just put it there to get you to move.
The problem, they're simply not big enough. They have 0 flexibility when you try to use them. Hard taco shells.
And we gotta think of a ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like make an extra long.
Soggy. What's our solution? Right.
Like
They have 0 flexibility when you try to use them and eat them. So, what do you offer up as solutions from the back of the room?
Wait, that was before.
Sorry. What about the front of the room? Good job paying attention. What do you got?
Oh, wait, okay. I don't want to. Basically just make them bigger and then dump them in burger grease.
Okay.
Make it softer.
Bigger and softer. I was thinking like something to like keep your mouth open. Like if we had bigger mouths, then maybe that would help. But I wasn't in your group, so okay, all right. Okay, bags of cereal, back of the room. Here's the problem, it takes 10 minutes to get into them, and then when you finally break the seal on the bag, it explodes and cereal goes all over the floor. What do you got? Yes?
We have a solution to open the bag.
And so with every cereal box you get pliers, like the pliers you use to cut a branch down.
Yes!
And so you get to open
Just
it.
like a little zzz.
Yeah, and then you won't go everywhere when you open it.
See?
Did we win?
You won. The biggest clap. Okay. Excellent work. All right, so where are we going with this? All right, so if I had a hammer, I'd hammer all day long, and if you know that song, I'll give you, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. All right, so what are your hammers? Okay, we'll tie this in, we'll tie it in. I want you to think about your words and your actions and your thoughts as hammers, right? So let that marinate, okay? Words can be a hammer. What you say, how you say it. Actions can be a hammer. How you respond, how you physically operate, what even happens to affect someone. If you smile, what happens compared to, right? What does it do, right? That's an action, okay? And then what are your thoughts? What is your mindset? There's no way I'm going to be able to learn math. There's no way that I can make it to school on time. There's no way. Is that your mindset, right? How is that impacting all these other things? Okay, so that's your hammer, all right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about how all of those things, these are not new, I say these things all the time. Observe and investigate from general to specific. So if you're looking at a problem, how can those things impact that? You gotta look at it general to specific. Stop laughing. Define the box. If the box is, I can't get the cereal to open without creating a mess. And if you just get stuck there, then maybe bring on some more people. Look at it from upside down. But define your box and step outside of it, right? To get a different viewpoint on there. That might mean bringing other people in. It might mean literally moving yourself so that you see it from a different angle, okay? Look for those relationships and the interconnected pieces. That's a big one. That is a big one. I did have a student last spring very seriously ask, do you think that I can save the world? My answer is yes. However, it's going to be one piece at a time, right? One piece. So if you're overwhelmed with this, whatever that problem is, you may not need to tackle it all at once, right? It might be just that little bit. Because even a hammer, when you are hammering metal, when you are hammering anything like that, if you watch them when they hammer it, it actually goes back for a double hit, right? So they're doing a little bit at a time. They're doing a little bit, and it takes a long time to get the metal to smooth itself out. So all of that takes time. Okay. Finish the sentence, I wonder if. Right? If you're staring at a problem or it's staring you in the face, finish the sentence, I wonder if. That can help you step outside of that box and look at something different. Right? Okay. In drawing class, sometimes we turn our drawings upside down. Not because we see upside down, but because it helps us get a new perspective on things and look at it different. So there's that perspective piece again. It's all related, right? Okay, so at the end of this, it's hammer time, like right now. Whoa! I'm just kidding. I'm not going any further with that. But here's the deal. When you leave here, it's hammer time. So you might be the hammer. You might be getting hammered. Not this early. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I did just say that, and now it's on YouTube. Okay. Hey, Kurt. It's great. Meaning, you might be affected by that change, or you might be the one that is helping to affect the change, right? Either way, you have the choice to be a part of that process, right? That's an opportunity, it's a choice, but you can be a part of the process and a part of that change, either way. Okay, I've left 10 seconds for questions. questions? Oh, look at that. Ding. Okay, all right. Thank you guys. Clean up in aisle 9. My students are supposed to be in the front row. Front row. So I don't have to look anywhere else.